Today, I want to tell you a little bit about law school interviews and some of the most common interview questions you absolutely have to be prepared for, because if you're not prepared for them, they're guaranteed they're going to show up. And if you're not prepared, of course, you're going to get nervous. And once you get nervous and can't answer one question, after that is completely downhill. In fact, most law school applicants who get invited for an interview, they usually have the problem with essentially their nerves, right? It's not necessarily that they don't know the answers. It's not necessarily that they don't have good communication skills. It's the fact that they get stuck with a completely unknown interview question to them, and that cascades into elevating their nerves, causes a lot of stress, and as a result, the entire law school interview is down the toilet. If you don't do well during your law school interview, no matter what your stats could be perfect. I'm not even kidding. Your stats could be perfect. Your application could have been perfect. You do a very poor job during the interview, you could guarantee you're going to get that rejection letter. We've seen this happen. On the flip side, we've seen students who have not necessarily a perfect stat, and they didn't have a perfect application that they send out, but the minute they got into interview, the interview was so beautifully executed that they got accepted to multiple schools. And we're not talking about schools that are, low tier. These are like fantastic schools, Ivy League schools, top 20 schools in US, Canada, UK, etc. So these are a very important skill to have, and it's a skill you have that's actually related to being a very good future lawyer. It directly can assess your ability to communicate, your ability to have and demonstrate good judgment, and your ability to make good decisions right on the spot within time constraints without getting nervous. Because all of these things, there's a lot of emphasis on the law school interview. If you apply to a school that requires an interview as part of the admissions process, you have to take it seriously. Today, what I want to do is go over the 10 most common law school interview questions so that you're prepared well in advance. So here they are, the top most common law school interview questions. The first one is, tell me about yourself. The second one is, why should we choose you? The third one is, why our school? The fourth one is, why do you want to become a lawyer? The fifth one is, what is your biggest strength? Sixth, what is your biggest weakness? Seven, which area of law interests you the most and why? Eight, what will you do if you're not accepted to law school this year? Nine, what do you plan to accomplish as a lawyer in 10, 20, or 30 years from now? And 10, do you have any questions for us? So these are the top 10 most common law school interview questions. You're guaranteed to get some of these questions at least during your interviews, and you have to be prepared for each of them. The best thing to do now here is to have a strategy for each of these, and also make sure that you have talking points, but do not rehearse. You don't want to go and sound like a robot anticipating a question and then essentially giving back a response you have completely memorized, because it's so obvious. It's so obvious. It sounds weird. It's not conversational. Also, when you give an answer like that, it doesn't allow the interviewer to find a pause to ask follow-up questions, to have a conversation. Remember, the interview, you're going to have a conversation. They got a big list of questions they're going to ask you, but the more it turns into a conversation and you have the person on your side, the less likely they're going to ask more questions because time runs out first. Two, the more likely they're going to enjoy themselves and recommend you to be accepted to the program. So that's really important for you to understand. Turn this into a conversation, not a dry, weird, robotic interview. So we've gone through some of these in one of the other videos. So I'm going to go quickly about strategies for these questions and give you some of my thoughts so that you know how to tackle them yourself. So tell me about yourself. That's a very common one. And the idea here is you have to focus on avoiding, first of all, I'm going to tell you what you should avoid, avoiding anything that's already on your application. They don't want to hear about that. They already know about that, right? So avoid that. And even if they don't, and it's a closed file interview, still don't say, the same way you've said in your application. This is the time when you're going to turn in a chronological order from literally, you could go all the way back to, your childhood, all the way to how did you get here, telling about, your personal interest, what gets you out of the bed. This is not necessarily the same question as why do you want to become a lawyer? And a lot of students mix those up. That's not the same question. It's a little bit different. We have, if you actually go on our blog, you'll see this. We have some strategies specifically for this question. You go bmo.blog and you'll see the strategy sample answers as well. By the way, if you have never watched any of my videos, my name is Behrouz Momeni. I'm the CEO and founder here at BMO. Now, the next one is, why should we choose you? Here, the idea is, hey, we got 1,000, 10,000 other applicants. What are the qualities you bring to the table that you think are things that will make you stand out? So again, I'm going to tell you the things you should not do. For example, you shouldn't do, because I have experience, in advocacy. So does everybody else. Who cares? Yawn, boring. Because I have such and such extracurricular activities, because such and such stats. Nobody cares about that, because everybody does, especially at the interview stage. Everybody has all that stuff. What's unique to you? Have you done something absolutely remarkable? If it's a remarkable experience, then that will make sense. But most importantly, you got to focus on the fact that you have the specific qualities that matches their mission and vision. Interestingly, you could make this so that it's specific. You could have some talking points that's specific to each law school, and you could have a few talking points that are common amongst different law schools. And that's what makes it very interesting, because this is a very easy one to prepare for. And it can be easily tailored to your own personal experiences. The other one that's, pretty common, and again, tough people stumble upon this, is why our school. And the why our school is essentially a question school asks to see, hey, are you just essentially applying to every single school and you don't care, just as long as you get into law school, you don't really care? Or no, was there something specific about them? So you better have some things that are specifically about them you interest them. There's some instructors, some past work they've done, some specific thing about their culture and mission, something about their facilities, something about their training. Make sure you've done your due diligence. Next one is, why do you want to become a lawyer? Like I told you, this is not the same as telling me about yourself. So what's your strategy here? Your strategy here is you tell them your story in a way that first explains a few critical moments in time from beginning to how you got here. One, what triggered that initial spark about being a lawyer? Two, what have you done to explore the profession more? Three, what did you do or what happened that solidified your decision? And maybe lastly, what have you done to make yourself better and better prepared for this moment that you feel like you're prepared and ready to go? And again, this could be completely personalized, just with talking points. You could have a fantastic answer for this. Make this a little bit lighthearted, I would say, as well, to leave a good lasting impression. Next one is, what is your biggest strength? Your biggest strength, and then obviously, but one after that, that's very common, is what is your biggest weakness? So for weakness, maybe we'll start with that. What's the common mistake? People try to be too political. They give a weakness and turn it into a strength. Don't do that. That's just, first of all, you're going to sound just like everybody else. Remember, the idea is to stand out, not sound like everybody else. Two, you didn't really answer the question. You're just being a politician, right? Don't be a politician, answer questions. What is your biggest strength? What is your biggest weakness? How can you go about that without sounding arrogant for the strength and without giving something red flaggish about your weaknesses? Everybody has it. You don't have to reveal everything about your weaknesses. You're working on them. So let's go for the weakness first. Choose something that is literally a weakness and how you've been working on it and how you can provide some sort of proof about before and after and how this is improving. Don't say it's improved because it's not a weakness anymore, because this is saying what is your biggest weakness, not what was your previous weakness, right? So be careful about how you answer this. So for example, what's something that's like not really red flaggish if it's handled right, but it is a weakness? A common one is something like feeling a little bit, too out of place in certain situations, and how you essentially figured out how to get over that, or maybe you were shy, which is really important for a lawyer. You can't be shy, you can't be a shy lawyer. That just doesn't make any sense, as you could imagine. Or for example, you didn't get over that. It still makes you nervous, but you have strategies to overcome that shyness, right? That's it. The other one is your biggest strength. What can I give you as an example is this one is again highly individualized. Think about something that is absolutely critical to being a lawyer, and you're without doubt, you're really good at it. So don't BS here, because they're gonna need some proof. Which area of law interests you the most and why? This question is trying to detect whether or not you're BSing during the interview, or no, this person has been thinking for years and they've done their due diligence. So when you choose something, of course, you could always say that I'm going to stay open-minded until I actually start getting into my studies and learn more, etc. But if you do choose one, and I still think you should, maybe one or two at least have it narrowed down, you should say what you've done to understand more and how it's related to your past experiences. And that kind of makes the why part of the question a lot easier. Next one is, what will you do if you're not accepted to law school this year? So this is trying to test your ability to plan in advance and have multiple plans in your sleeve, because it's actually so important as a lawyer. You come up with a strategy, whether defense or offense, whether you're on the side of a statement of a claim, a statement of defense, applicant or someone who's responding to a claim. Everything you do comes back with a reaction. Your ability as a lawyer is proportional to you being able to plan in advance the next person's moves, and for every reaction, you already have something planned. If you don't already for this is essentially just one move. You have to have like 4 or 5 moves ahead planned. This is one move. If you don't get into law school, what are your plans? You must have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you can't be a good lawyer. You just don't have your life organized. So make sure you explain exactly what you're doing. Are you going to make your skills better, reapply? Are you going to, take a gap year, etc.? What are you going to do to get you to that next stage? And it makes more sense that it's related to you being resilient and coming back and trying again. So it has to be related to making you a better applicant so you can try again. What do you plan to accomplish as a lawyer in 10, 20, 30 years? Again, that's just planning in advance. You have to have a critical thing, sort of a logical reason for wanting to pursue something, and what is the end goal? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to just go and make some money and buy a big house? Or is there something else that's planned? Must be very believable. So you better be thinking about this long and hard, because it's very easy to tell when somebody's just BSing about this. Like we do a lot of mock interviews. It's so easy to figure it out. So make sure you have a proper sort of an action plan. And make sure your plan is not completely rigid, because you have to tell them that you understand that you're going to be very open and flexible to possibly a moving target and changing environments. You have to still stay open-minded to the environment. And lastly, do you have any questions for us? You better have a lot of questions, because some of it is going to be answered during the interview. Some of it shows that you have as much of a standard for the law school as they do for their applicants. And this is important. This subconsciously signals, depending on your questions, that, hey, what do you have to offer? I'm good enough that I can get into any law school I want. Are you the right law school for me? So better have questions about the education, the curriculum, the instructors, the, sort of other activities that they may be able to provide you. And if you do that, you're going to do a pretty good job convincing them that you've done your due diligence against about their school and you have standards for yourself and you're not just going to go and get an education and go buy a boat later on, right? So these are the top 10 most common law school interview questions that I think you absolutely need to know. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and share it with a friend who may enjoy it as well. If you want to make sure you catch on the next few episodes about law school applications, law school interviews, and beyond, don't forget to subscribe to whatever social media channel you're watching this. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.